So we're very pleased to have her here to help out and educate us about engaging patients in research. So perfect follow-up to Dr. Ulrich's talk.
Yeah, I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
that Nikki set us up so well to talk about clinical trials. So again, my name's Vanessa Merker. I work at the Mass General Hospital NF Clinic, and I come from a health services research background. So I'm really interested in ways that we can improve our healthcare system to, function better for people with NF. And as part of that work, I get to do a lot of amazing work with NF patients and families on designing clinical trials. So I'll talk a little bit today about what patient engagement and research is, what I mean with that term, and talk about two different programs in which we work with people with NF to engage them in research. So what is patient engagement in research? I have two definitions, so I'll start with this one. Research that's carried out with or by members of the public or members of a certain group rather than to, about, or for them. And what I like about this definition is it kind of contrasts what you might think of when you think of patient engagement in research. You might initially think of research where you're a participant, where you're coming in to participate in visits and receive a treatment. And that's very valuable. We learn so much from your participation. But what I'm talking about today is actually working as a member of the team who helps design research. So, not just being a participant, but almost working as alongside researchers as a team member to help design the research. And while this definition I think is great for, what is patient engagement? It's not that helpful for what is it. So I also like this definition, which is that when I talk about patient engagement, I mean active, meaningful, and collaborative interactions between patients and their family members and researchers across all stages of the research process, so that we can really make sure that as we design these research studies, we're guided by patients' experiences, values, and expertise and can incorporate that from the get go to hopefully design research that's more impactful and meaningful to you guys. Now, this can happen throughout the entire research process. Here at the top, we have kind of starting with research of even just deciding what are we going to study, what is worth answering, and going through the stages of how we design our question, is make sure our methods are appropriate, make sure we're recruiting a representative group of people, that these trials are something you want to participate in, that you understand and can participate in, that aren't too burdensome, all the way through doing our analysis and disseminating our findings, making sure we do a better job sharing what we found with the community so that you can use that information. And so I'll talk about two programs in which we're trying to engage patients and family members in our research. The first is the Response Evaluation in NF and Schwannomatosis, or RAINS collaboration. This is an international program that was founded by Dr. Plotkin and Dr. Brigitte Wiedemann at the NIH back in actually 2011 to really help us design clinical trials and develop standardized criteria for determining treatment response. And what do I mean when I say that? I mean, essentially, how do we measure that a drug works? And what is our definition of success? So, this might mean agreeing that if we can shrink a tumor size by 20% or more, we'll call that a success and something worth pursuing. Or it might mean there are a lot of different ways to measure pain. What's the best questionnaire we should use? And how should we give that to folks? So, things like this, where we get the entire community on the same page about how we're going to measure what drugs work or other treatments. And we've always focused on collaboration across different medical specialties, different countries, and as well as involving people from different stakeholder groups involved in NF. So this means researchers, clinicians, patients, pharmaceutical companies, regulatory agencies like the FDA, and trying to bring all the stakeholders together to decide how we're going to measure the success of new treatments. And then we can move that all as a community moving forward. Currently, the RAINS collaboration is involved in 9 working groups, which I have listed here from all across the country and all across the world. Um, Many of our groups are focused on a specific way that we measure success in trials. So, imaging of tumors, functional outcomes, which are things like breathing or walking, how you function in your day to day life. You see vision and neurocognitive outcomes. Some of our groups are focused on a specific manifestation of NF, like cutaneous neurofibromas, the skin tumors and NF1. And our newest group, which is on gene therapy, is on transformative new therapies that might need different trial designs from what we've used before. And I run our patient representative group. So how RAINS works is that we're organized in these working groups, which meet usually once a month over video conference to develop different recommendations about how we should design our trials. Then the entire RAINS group meets twice a year in person and hybrid. So it's both virtual and in person so that we can review these recommendations and have everyone weigh in. And then every 3 to 4 years, we publish a number of articles providing kind of our most recent suite of recommendations. And throughout this process, we collaborate a lot with our foundations. I know CTF and NF Northeast are both here, as well as different agencies and research organizations. And to bring this back to patient engagement, which is what I said I was going to talk to you about today, patients are really engaged and family. I should say, when I say patient engagement, I do mean also family members throughout this talk. We use the term patient representatives in RAINS, but we really mean anyone, family members, siblings, partners who are invested in people with NF when I say that word. We have our patient representation working group, which has about 55 members right now, which we really use to get really diverse feedback from the community about the work that we're doing. We also have patients who serve on all of the other working groups. So for people who are interested in those topics, they can join those monthly meetings and give more specific feedback on those topics. And then we also have patient reps who serve on our leadership councils. That's essentially like our board of directors who help design like the big picture direction of the organization and our focus. So really at all levels, we have patients involved. To talk more about our specific patient representative working group, I'm the chair and I lead with two individuals with NF and family members, Andres Lessing and Klaus Roll as my co-chairs. And we really focus both on giving scientific feedback to the NF community through participating in the working groups, having people come present their clinical trials to us so we can give them feedback, and by focusing on ways to disseminate the findings of clinical trial research. And we also have operational things. So this is a democracy. We run it together. The patients all have input into what we're going to focus on and what we need to do. And so coming from that, we have patients who help lead our recruitment efforts, educational efforts, and then evaluating how we're doing to get feedback. As I mentioned, we currently have 55 people, but we are always open for members, and I'll have my info if you're interested in joining. We're always looking for new folks. Most people are from the US, but we have people from all over the world, and a mix of people with NF1, NF2 related schwannomatosis, and other types of schwannomatosis. We really want to make it easy for people to participate. So at the moment, we alternate between meeting Wednesday evening and Saturday afternoon just to try and make it something people can fit in around their work schedules or their school schedules. And this is what people have said when I asked, we did a evaluation to ask folks in the program, why did you join? And if these reasons resonate with you, then you might be a new member for us. People had said that they want to advocate for the NF community, make sure the focus is on what patients need. They wanted to contribute to research and move it forward and to represent NF patients, to give a voice to others like themselves who maybe don't have the time to participate or ability to. And I think so far we've been successful. We've been doing this for, oh my God, like 6 years now. And I think it's had such a wonderful impact. We've really been able to see that patient representatives do have a unique perspective compared to the other folks, and they can share their personal experiences, reflect on what they know about others in the community to really help us figure out what we should focus on, to review the different outcome measures we currently have and tell us what's lacking or what we need to change, and make sure that we're measuring these outcomes that are going to be more relevant to your concerns, that are going to be feasible to do, not too burdensome to fill out every time you come to clinic, and more meaningful. We also have people from across the community who come present to us. So they'll bring, for example, a trial that they are planning and ask for our feedback. So far, we've done that 22 times. So 22 different trials before they've ever been launched come to us to ask for our input. And so we've given feedback on a variety of topics just so you can get a sense of what we work on. Often this is clinical trials, so trials that are going to test new treatments for things like MPNST, which is malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumor in NF1, hearing loss in people with NF2 related schwannomatosis or pain. We also give feedback on a variety of studies, so natural history studies, which is studies where you don't get treatment, but we want to watch to see how disease progresses so we can measure it and figure out how to assess it better. Also, studies to validate these new outcome measures that we are trying to develop, and often to give feedback on patient facing materials like surveys or educational materials to make sure that they make sense. Um, if this is at all interesting in you, please come find me after the break, or you can email me here. We're always looking for new members to participate. We just ask people, it's a brief online application just so that we can get to know you. You don't need any education experience. It's not an application because you're being evaluated like a job. We pretty much take everyone who's interested. It's just so we can keep track, essentially. Um, and we can match you to a mentor. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. And you can also check out our website, which links to this video. So lots of ways to learn if you're interested, and very low stakes. If you'd like to join and just see what we do for a meeting and see if it's for you, we're welcome to do that as well. We're always happy to have more people giving input into trials. And with that, I think I have time. Talk about another specific study, which is another way that we're engaging patients and their family members in NF. I'm really excited about this trial. It's something that we are just starting here at MGH, and it's a trial where we're trying to improve evidence-based care for underserved folks with NF1. And by underserved, we mean a lot of the folks who can't make it to a place like MGH or Boston Children's Hospital and are relying on their local doctors to manage a lot of their NF1 care. And so I'm super excited that we got a wonderful grant from an institute called the Patient Centered Outcomes Research Institute to design a new trial in which we're going to try to help people partner with their local PCPs to get the NF1 care they need. So some of the basic health screenings, and then, if something seems amiss, get the appropriate follow-up that they need. So we're planning this clinical trial right now, which we hope will open later this year. And we're going to enroll 360 people from across the US who speak English or Spanish. So we're developing all of these materials in English and Spanish who don't go to an NF clinic. And the core function is that we'll create tailored letters about what NF1 care people need. One for them so that they can understand what the different recommendations are and learn about NF, and one for their primary care doctor to hopefully help educate their primary care doc about NF1 as well. And I wanted to talk about the way we've been engaging stakeholders. We have a variety of groups who are all weighing in to decide what should these letters look like, how should this trial run, how can you engage people across the entire US. And it's been really, truly a pleasure to work with folks. So we have an advisory board of NF1 patients and parents who I've listed their names here. You might recognize some of them from the different NF organizations who meet once a month. So really like a big contribution and effort to really make decisions about everything. We could not have made this intervention without them. How to make the letters informative, how to make the messaging empowering and teaching people about why these regular checkups are important, advice on how to recruit and where to recruit and help recruiting. We also work with primary care providers and different NF1 scientific advisors to make sure that this is also going to resonate with PCPs and be useful in their workflow. So really by having this process, which so far has been, I think we're 6-7 months in already of really investing the time up front to design your interventions and trials with input from the community, we're hoping that makes everything that comes later so much smoother and easier and faster. And so we really believe that by investing time up front to work with patients and families, the payoff later on is that your findings will be so much more useful and the study will be more useful. So hopefully there'll be more opportunities like this to work in specific trials as a partner moving forward. And I want to thank everyone who's partnered with us on this trial as well. And that's all for me. I want to just thank everybody at the MGH Clinic who's worked on these projects and throughout the RAINS collaboration. Again, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. And also feel free to email me or reach me on the break if you are at all interested in either of these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. I just want to say your voices are really important to us. So this is really hugely impactful work that Vanessa's doing. And I'm not sure she emphasized enough that there are huge swaths of our country where there are no specialized NF clinics. And so this would be amazing in terms of bringing NF care to people who really don't have access to care. So that's a big goal behind making sure that this happens. We're so lucky to have, set big centers in Boston, but there are states that don't have NF clinics. So this, I think, will be a model for how one might be able to do that.
Any reins people here? Linda? Yes. So if you also want to, Linda, I'm going to volunteer you. If you also have questions about reins, you can ask Linda as well as a real life participant.
We're real life participants too. So I know.
That's true.
But
I mean,
but
just like the founder and the
Yeah.
people who've been involved for many years.
but always looking for patient representatives. So when I say, how can you get involved, that's clearly another way that you all can get involved. We're all available at the breaks too.
Well, if we're running ahead of schedule, that's just going to mean more time for socializing during the breaks. Yeah, if you don't have any questions. But thank you so much, Vanessa. That was great.